When the cop came out, it turned out to be Victor, walking like he owned the whole world with 2 officers behind him. The woman ran over to him and pointed at me.
Officer, he was watching that little boy. I think he was trying to take him. The kid looks scared. He doesn't even look like him.
Jamal jumped off the slide and ran to me. I knelt and held him close, trying to keep calm, even though my whole body was shaking. Victor looked me up and down like he'd just found gold. Well, looks like we've got another case of baby snatching. Happens more than people think. Black men pretending these kids are theirs. It's always the same story. He knew who we were. He knew Jamal was my son, but he kept going, feeding the lie, putting on a show for the other officers and parents nearby. My mouth was dry. I wanted to scream, but I knew I had to stay calm for Jamal. Officer, I don't understand what you're doing, but you and I know that this is my son. Just because he's white and I'm black doesn't mean that he's not mine. Oh wow, it's a crazy world, isn't it? I never knew that I, a trained cop, would one day be educated by a low-life kidnapper. Black people are never beating the allegations. You're also rude and mannerless. I've never heard anything good about this race. Hi, I'm Malik, and this is my story. I have a son who's 8. His name is Jamal. His mother, who's a white woman, passed out just a few years after he was born, so I've been the one taking care of him. We live in a neighborhood where every lawn looks perfect, like something out of a magazine. But behind all of that, there's a lot of ugliness people don't want to talk about. We're the only black family here. That means every day feels like walking through a place we're not supposed to be in. People stare every time. While some are just curious, others are not so nice. But the worst one? That's Victor. He lives right next door. Same type of house, but his heart's nothing like ours. He's a cop, and he makes sure everyone knows it. There's an old Confederate flag sticker on his truck. Even though it was faded, he refused to take it off. He never tried to pretend he liked us. From the start, you could feel it in the way he looked at us. Especially Jamal. He always made it look like my son playing outside was some kind of danger to the street. Look at you walking around like you belong here. You don't, and you never will. Keep that kid of yours in check, or I will. That was the first time he said anything to me. We had only been living there for about a month. I didn't say anything, but I think my silence was wrong, because from there, things only got worse. Every little chance, he came at us with something. One afternoon, I took Jamal to the park so he could run around and just be a kid. He loved the jungle gym. I sat on a bench nearby, watching him laugh as he climbed and played. Then I noticed a white woman who was standing by the swings. She kept looking at us. She'd look at Jamal, then at me. At first, I ignored it because we were used to the stares. But this time, I noticed it wasn't the usual stare. She pulled out her phone and started whispering into it. Next thing I know, a police car pulled up. I saw Jamal freeze on the slide. I stood up immediately because I already had a feeling of how this was going to go. When the cop came out, it turned out to be Victor. Walking like he owned the whole world with 2 officers behind him. The woman ran over to him and pointed at me.
Officer, he was watching that little boy. I think he was trying to take him. The kid looks scared. He doesn't even look like him.
Jamal jumped off the slide and ran to me. I knelt and held him close, trying to keep calm, even though my whole body was shaking. Victor looked me up and down like he'd just found gold. Well, looks like we've got another case of baby snatching. Happens more than people think. Black men pretending these kids are theirs. It's always the same story. He knew who we were. He knew Jamal was my son, but he kept going, feeding the lie, putting on a show for the other officers and parents nearby. My mouth was dry. I wanted to scream, but I knew I had to stay calm for Jamal. Officer, I don't understand what you're doing, but you and I know that this is my son. Just because he's white and I'm black doesn't mean that he's not mine. Oh wow, it's a crazy world, isn't it? I never knew that I, a trained cop, would one day be educated by a low-life kidnapper. Black people are never beating the allegations. You're also rude and mannerless. I've never heard anything good about this race. I was shocked beyond words. I knew he hated me, but to this extent. How could he call me a kidnapper despite knowing that Jamal was my son? I was about to speak when someone beat me to it. It was Mrs. Thompson, an older woman from our street.
That's Malik, and that's his son Jamal. They've lived in our street for over a year. You should be ashamed of yourself, Victor. How can a grown man be as childish as this? You know it's a criminal offense to lie like this.
I pulled out my phone and showed the officers pictures of me, Jamal, and my late wife together. Birthday parties, school events, everything to prove that I and Mrs. Thompson were right. The woman who accused me immediately started apologizing.
I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't know.
She looked so embarrassed. And Victor? He didn't say a word. He just stared at me with an angry face, then turned around and walked off like nothing happened. A few days after that happened, I got home early from work and saw Jamal with Victor, standing by the mailbox. Victor was in his uniform, crouched down and talking to Jamal like they were friends, but Jamal wasn't smiling. He looked confused, nervous. I dropped the bags and rushed over. Then I heard what he was saying to my son.
You know, your dad's not a good man, kid. Some people pretend to be nice, but they're really dangerous inside. You'll understand when you're older and in the hands of better people.
I lost it. How could he say such things to a child? I grabbed Jamal's arm and pulled him back. Don't you ever talk to my son again. You hear me? Stay away from him, or I swear I'll report you. I'm done playing nice.
Oh, really? Report me? And what do you think that'll do, Malik? I am the system. Go ahead. Nobody's gonna touch me.
He was right. He was a cop. I knew if I ever tried to report him, it could go wrong. He was a cop, and he was white. Meanwhile, I was just a black normal worker. I let it slide and took my son in. A week later, there was a knock at my door. I opened it and saw a woman holding a folder. She said she was from Child Services and that someone had reported me for child neglect. My heart sank. I immediately knew who did it. The report didn't have a name, but I didn't need one. Victor's hands were all over it. He was really out to end me, and it made me frustrated. For weeks, my life became a nightmare. I had to prove I was a good father. They came to inspect the house, looked through Jamal's things, and even talked to his teachers. I had to go to court, bring people from work to speak on my behalf. I made sure Jamal's clothes were always clean, his homework double-checked, his lunch packed just right. But none of it stopped the fear that they'd take him from me. And still, Victor wasn't done. It was so obvious that he was after my downfall, even though I never did anything bad to him. One night, I came home and saw police cars outside my house. Victor was standing on my lawn, talking to two officers. I parked and rushed toward them, but they stopped me. They said they found drugs in my garage. A small plastic bag filled with white powder tucked behind my toolbox. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I don't use drugs. Never have, matter of fact. But when I looked at Victor, he was smiling. That alone told me that he wanted and planned all of it. The officers grabbed me, pulled my hands behind my back, and cuffed me right there in front of my house. Jamal stood on the porch, crying. Another woman from Child Services showed up and took him away. I was shouting to him that I loved him, that everything would be okay, but I could barely hear my own voice through his screaming. The next 2 months were the worst of my life. They let me out on bail, but Jamal was placed in foster care. I barely slept or ate. I lived inside my lawyer's office, desperately trying to clear my name. I knew the drugs were planted. I just had to prove it. I hired a private investigator. He started digging into Victor's past. Turns out, he had done this kind of thing before. He'd gone after other Black and Latino families, called in fake reports, lied on paper, made people's lives hell, and no one had stopped him, because he was a cop, an evil, trusted one. But now I had a reason to fight harder than ever. My investigator found a neighbor who saw Victor sneaking into my garage the night before the police raid. We brought it to court. 63 days after they arrested me, the charges were dropped. The court ruled there wasn't enough proof, and I was free. More importantly, Jamal came home. But I wasn't finished. I couldn't let it end like that. Victor had taken 2 months from my son's life, so he had to pay. I started watching him and every move he made. My investigator kept digging. That's when we found the real dirt. Apparently, Victor had been stealing money from a local charity where he worked part-time. Donations, event funds, all of it. He used his badge to cover his tracks. Even more, he'd cheated on his wife countless times and boasted about his wife being too dumb to catch him. We gathered it all. I even found an audio clip of him bragging about extra cash to another officer. I didn't stop there. I contacted different families he'd hurt unjustly. One day, the town held a big meeting. I stood up during the public comment time and told the whole room what he'd done. I played the recordings and showed the proof. Victor sat in the back, his face pale. People who had smiled at him for years now looked at him in disgust. That night, the charity kicked him off the board. The police department suspended him. His friends stopped calling. His wife packed her bags and left. One evening, he came to my house. He looked so different without his badge and uniform. He was wearing just jeans and a dirty shirt.
Malik, please, I messed up. I was wrong for doing all of that to you, but I need your help, please. They're talking about charging me. I'll lose everything. You can stop this. Just tell them I'm not a bad guy.
You're hilarious, Victor. You? Need my help? I can't believe you. You built this mess, not me. If there's an opportunity to make you more miserable, I'll gladly take it, because you deserve it. Get lost, loser. I slammed the door in his face. He came back the next day, then again the day after that. I quickly filed a restraining order. On the fourth visit, he completely lost it, banging on my door and yelling my name like a madman.
Please, Malik, I'm begging you. I can't go to prison. You don't understand. I'm not like those people. I'll die in there.
I quickly called 911. When the cops came, they tackled him right on my lawn. He cried out, begging, but no one listened. It was even his old co-workers who showed up to arrest him. This time, the law didn't protect him. He was charged with embezzlement, planting evidence, harassment, and abuse of power. The judge gave him 15 years, no parole for 10. But prison wasn't even the worst part for him. 6 months in, Victor tried to escape. He got caught sneaking through a loading dock and was shot in the leg by a guard. That would have been the end of it. But he had diabetes. The wound got infected. Doctors tried treating it, but nothing helped. They had to amputate his leg below the knee. Now he's stuck in a wheelchair, stuck in a prison cell, and forgotten by the same system he once used to hurt others. Thanks for watching. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to confront her. She tried to deny it at first, but when I yelled at her, she was forced to start talking. She burst into tears and went on her knees.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Joe. Forgive me, please. It wasn't intentional.
Of course, I was touched by her tears. I couldn't bear to see her crying, but I also needed to know who she cheated on me with and why she did it. When I asked her, she only cried more, her body trembling uncontrollably. Tell me, who's it?
It's your brother.
It felt like my world stopped for a moment. I couldn't believe my ears. How could Bob be responsible for my wife's pregnancy? I grew up with a selfish brother. A brother who never praised me, but never failed to criticize every little mistake I make, and even take advantage of them. My name is Joe, and I have an elder brother, Bob. Bob was born just 2 years before me, but he boasted with and took advantage of the age gap, like it was his life goal to do so. We went to the same school, and I hated every bit of it. I didn't like the fact that I had to swallow Bob's stupid behaviors at school. He would often come to me with his friends, strangling me and pushing me to the floor roughly in pretense of being playful with me. Bob was just too rough. I couldn't say if he was intentionally extra with me, but I never enjoyed it. Once, I was eating in the school's cafeteria, and he suddenly walked up to me and kicked the table, making my glass of milk fall and pour on the table and my thighs. I was so angry, but I couldn't fight him. We were at school, and it would be embarrassing to fight with my elder brother there. So, I kept mute and simply left the cafeteria, ignoring his loud, mocking laughter. When we got home and I confronted him, he blew up.
Are you crazy? You're so ungrateful. I'm 2 years older than you, yet I play around with you like we're age mates and all you do is complain. You're so immature.
I was so annoyed because he blew everything out of proportion. I simply wanted him to reduce how rough he was with me, but he was taking it differently. When I tried to explain, he slapped me. I was shocked.
The next time you're disrespectful to me, it will be more than a slap. You're so foolish and ungrateful.
When my parents returned, I reported the case to them. But when Bob was summoned, B began crying.
I just wanted to be nice to him. No one talks to him at school. I and my friends play with him so he's not left out. How's that bad? Even though we're older than him, we don't mind playing around with him. How does that make us bad? I couldn't believe my ears. I had friends at school. In fact, most of my friends stopped being close to me out of our class because they were afraid of getting beaten up by my brother and his friends. Now, how could I explain that my brother was lying when they were already hugging and petting him?
Joe, apologize to your brother, love. Don't be so mad at him. He's just looking out for you, son.
I used to be rough like that with my brothers too. It's just how boys joke around. Don't be mad at your brother, okay? Did I have any choice? No. I couldn't be seen as a weakling before my parents. I forced myself to take his silly jokes until I finally graduated high school. I'd grown up to be very handsome and manly, but Bob was 2 times better. He got a girlfriend the first year he resumed college. At the time, I was still at home. Whenever my parents were out to work, Bob would bring in different girls to our house. I would try to advise him against doing that, but he never listened.
How dare you tell me what to do? I'm 2 years older than you. You have no right to dictate how I live my life to me.
I learned to shut up quickly. One day, a girl came visiting. All 3 of us were in the living room, watching TV. I didn't say a word or do anything except watching the TV. Shockingly, we heard the sound of my mom's car, and we all froze. My parents had gone out in my mom's car, and they'd returned. As if planned, Bob quickly got off the couch with the girl, and they rushed to me. He pushed her on me and stood in front of us, speaking to me like I committed an offense. And when my parents came in to meet the sight, I saw how their faces fell. They seemed to misunderstand what was happening, just as Bob wanted.
You're bringing girls home now, Joe? I'm so disappointed in you.
At that moment, seeing my mom's face crushed me. She was even more disappointed.
I feel so embarrassed.
Mom, Bob's lying. I didn't bring her home. I don't even know her. I swear to you, Mom. Believe me, please.
Are you calling me a liar? You both were sleeping on the couch and I told you up to get dressed properly. What have I done wrong this time?
After my mom left, I felt so bad. I quickly stood up and ran to my room where I didn't hesitate to cry as much as possible. Later on, I explained to my parents, and they realized that Bob had lied. However, I begged them not to talk about it to him, and they didn't. In his 3rd year in college, Bob began exhibiting even worse behaviors. He stopped returning home daily and only came on Saturdays. When my parents asked him, he lied that he was living with his friends. It was good for me because I didn't have to face his silly behaviors anymore. Soon, he added more. He would smoke at home whenever my parents were out and call me a weakling whenever I refused to join him. Once, our parents caught him smoking and drinking in the living room. I'd expected them to lash at him or something, but they didn't. They only asked him to be careful and eat healthy food. I was quite surprised, but I let it slide. He was old enough. Years later, we're finally grown men, and I'm married. My brother had gotten nearly completely out of control. He dropped out of college in his last year, left home to wherever. He suddenly came to my house one day. According to him, he was ready to turn a new leaf. I was impressed by how different he sounded, so I offered to help him. One time, about 2 weeks after, I had a fight with Bob. He'd come to visit me, yet he was trying to be all bossy, and that was annoying me. I tried to calmly ask him to stop, but he got mad.
What? Are you telling me how to behave? I'm 2 years older than you, so I can do whatever I want.
There he went with the age gap thing again. I couldn't take it anymore. Until when are you going to keep mentioning this? You're 2 years older than me, yes. Now act like it. We kept going back and forth until Bob left my house with pure anger. When my wife returned home from work, we also got into a small fight. I'd gone to bed that night with a hurt heart. After that one night when my wife didn't pass the night with me due to our fight, things took a strangely different turn. My wife, even after we settled our issue, would return home very late in the night, against her usual time. My brother and I hadn't settled our fight, but he would often come over to my house, have little conversations with me while giving me silly smirks. About 3 months later, my wife suddenly announced her pregnancy. I frowned. How was she pregnant when we hadn't had sex in 3 months? I tried to push it aside, but it kept bothering me. I faked happiness when she gave me the news, but I knew the pregnancy wasn't mine. She cheated on me. I managed to hold it in until her 6th month of being pregnant. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to confront her. She tried to deny it at first,
But when I yelled at her, she was forced to start talking. She burst into tears and went on her knees.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Joe. Forgive me, please. It wasn't intentional.
Of course, I was touched by her tears. I couldn't bear to see her crying, but I also needed to know who she cheated on me with and why she did it. When I asked her, she only cried more, her body trembling uncontrollably. Tell me, who's it?
It's your brother.
It felt like my world stopped for a moment. I couldn't believe my ears. How could Bob be responsible for my wife's pregnancy? It's not possible. You're joking with me.
I'm not, Joe. He's responsible for this.
She further explained that she'd run into Joe. That night we fought. They'd gone to his house together and things progressed from there. And it wasn't just that day. They were dating. My brother had impregnated my wife and was also dating her. I broke into a sob. I was heartbroken. I wanted nothing more but for all of that to be a nightmare. I wanted to wake up, but I couldn't because it was all real. I cried until my eyes and throat began to hurt. I cried until my eyes refused to form tears anymore. I'd never felt so hurt. I sent my wife out. I felt disgusted just staring at her. Once she left, I rushed over to my parents and broke down again in front of them. When they heard about what happened, they were shocked. They hadn't seen Bob since he left home and were devastated to hear what he did when I was only trying to help him. It hurt so badly because Bob and my wife weren't strangers to each other. I was even more sad to think that my wife could probably be with Bob as we spoke. After crying over it for days, I decided to divorce her. Bob showed up with her to my parents' house, and they both told us they weren't going to stop dating. In anger, my parents cussed at my wife and disowned Bob. They both didn't seem to care, and left us. My wife signed the divorce papers without even thinking twice, and I was left alone with nothing but my parents and my shattered heart. I didn't hear from them until about 6 years later, after my parents had died. Both my parents had left behind a good inheritance for me, which promised wealth to my generations. I'd also found a new lady I was talking to. She comforted me in every way possible and guided me whenever I needed guidance. One day, we were both going out when I suddenly saw Bob and my ex-wife standing outside my gate. I stopped my car and stepped out. They immediately rushed to me and went on their knees.
Help us, Joe. Please, forgive us and help.
Apparently, both Bob and my ex-wife had been diagnosed with cancer. Bob lost his job a month ago, while my ex-wife had stopped hers 6 months before, after the doctor warned her against doing anything stressful. They were both living from hand to mouth and couldn't afford their surgery. They were begging for my help. I burst into laughter. After what you both did to me, I'm very surprised to see you in this condition.
Joe, please. We're going to die if you don't help us, please. Our son was born paralyzed. No one is going to help him if we don't. Please, Joe.
Karma had truly dealt with them. I smiled happily. I have no help to render to you both. Not now, not ever. You both didn't care about my feelings when you hurt me, so I don't care about your paralyzed child when you die. I'll make sure to attend your funerals, though, dressed in red. Oh, that's if anyone would be kind enough to give you both proper burials. I walked back to my car, ignoring their cries and pleas. They deserved it, and more. Not in a million years would I help them. Never. 6 months later, I heard rumors that Joe had died and was buried, while his wife was in critical condition at the hospital. As for their paralyzed child, he was given up for adoption since their illness had become so serious. As for me, well, I later got married to Jennifer, and she is pregnant. I'm so happy. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.